Read the Declaration of Independence. A very large number of its specific charges against Great Britain involved dictatorial judges. The fact is, the Founding Fathers deeply distrusted judges and thought that the lawyer class was dangerous and that you could not give them unbridled power or they would undermine and destroy free society. Now, this is not some marginal position. Thomas Jefferson, asked about judicial supremacy, said, that is an absurdity. That would be an oligarchy. And it's doubly dangerous because, you see, if judges think that they are unchallengeable, they are inevitably corrupted. Corrupted in a moral sense. I don't mean taking money, but I mean in a sense of arrogance, in a sense of imposing on the rest of us. Lord Acton warned in the 19th century that power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Notice he dropped the word tends. And the courts in the last 53 years have proven that Lord Acton's right. Because with each passing decade, the judges have become more hostile to the American tradition. They now openly talk about using foreign sources of information because, after all, the American Constitution is so old and so antiquated. A justice who believes that shouldn't be serving on the American bench. One of the major impediments and threats to democracy today is the very behavior of the law schools, which teach a usurpation of power in a way that is utterly unsustainable. Founding Fathers designed our Constitution based on Montesquieu's concept of the balance of power. We're supposed to have three co-equal branches. There can be no supremacy if there are three co-equal branches, by definition. Otherwise, you'd have a superior branch and two inferior branches. But it's worse than that. If you read Hamilton in the Federalist Papers, he says, the courts couldn't possibly take on the legislative and executive branch because they would inevitably lose. Jefferson is the most clear example of taking on the judiciary. In the Judicial Reform Act of 1802, the Jeffersonians eliminated 18 out of 35 federal judges. Didn't impeach them, just abolished their offices, told them to go home. Jackson, in tackling the Bank of the United States, which he said was a overly centralized form of power, think of it as the earlier Bernanke, was told, well, the Supreme Court has said that it's constitutional. He said, fine, that's their opinion. He said, I have a different opinion. I'm the president, they're a court. They get their opinion in court. I get my opinion in the White House. Lincoln spends a large section of his first inaugural address explaining why the Dred Scott decision may be the law of the case, but cannot be the law of the land, and Lincoln refuses to enforce the Dred Scott decision while he's president, period. So people who come in and say, oh, as Nancy Pelosi once said, if the court speaks, it's as though God has spoken. Now, to be fair, having somebody from her branch of the party recognize God is an important step in the right direction. And the question of national security, in the last few years, the courts, I think, have become virtually out of touch with reality. The idea that the courts are now going to take on responsibility for defending the United States is a clear and fundamental violation of the Constitution and a fundamental violation of the executive branch's power, and the Congress should pass a law repudiating every interference of the courts in national security issues and returning them to the Congress and the President where they rightly belong. In 1942, a group of German saboteurs were landed in Florida and Long Island. They were all picked up within 2 weeks. Roosevelt brought in his Attorney General and said, they will be tried in a military court, they will be executed, it should happen within 3 weeks, and tell the Supreme Court if they issue a writ of habeas corpus, I will not honor it, and therefore they should not issue it. I am the commander-in-chief in wartime, they aren't. Congress has the power to limit the appeals, as I mentioned earlier. Congress can cut budgets. Congress can say, all right, in the future, the Ninth Circuit can meet, but it will have no clerks. By the way, we aren't going to pay the electric bill for 2 years, and since you seem to be rendering justice in the dark, you don't seem to need your law library either. This is, by the way, I am paraphrasing Hamilton in the Federalist Papers, in which he is defending, he says flatly, the judiciary is the weakest of the three branches. I mean, this modern model is just totally opposite the American tradition.
now, ladies and gentlemen, the star of our show, direct from the bar,
PB.
Is for allowing people who are complaining about your tariffs to be permanently labeled as whiny, retarded, sad little bitches.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening?
What is going on out there, peeps? Man, when it comes to trolling, nobody's better than Trump. Trump is just, he's a classic. We'll never have a president like him again. In our lifetime, anyways. I would hope so. But I like his sense of humor, and I like how he drives things home. Look, there's so much going on inside the government right now. It's driving people crazy. This thing about the Epstein emails, the Epstein files, and all that kind of crap like that. You know, I do believe that there's a good reason why Trump hadn't released them. And let me give you an example. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel. And I certainly do appreciate it.
Why won't the president just release it? I think that's the million-dollar question. And I think it has a lot to do with people who might be even more powerful than him, believe it or not. Let me show you an example of this. This is something that came out earlier last month. Newly resurfaced excerpt from the 2016 deposition of Virginia in relation to Jeffrey Epstein alleges that billionaire Tom Pritzker of the notorious Pritzker family and cousin to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker slept with Virginia. Starts off by saying the Epstein list needs to be released. And then he says, but Peter, it would literally destabilize the world. 2/3 of Congress and a large portion of the world's most powerful people would be in prison. Society would at least partially collapse.
Amen.
Yes, you're probably looking at 2/3 of the economy around the world collapsing. There's a very big possibility. So it's hard to kind of weigh out what is right to do. Let these people go? No accountability? No. You have to have some kind of accountability. Understand where the victims are coming from. But for the Democrats to jump out there and then wave around this evidence that they have, trying to mislead people into believing that Trump is something that he's not. People don't use common sense no more, so they can't figure it out. Look, ever since Trump first ran for office in his first term, we had 17 of our own intelligence agencies, plus the Five Eyes nations, all coming through Trump's past, trying to find something that they can nail him with. And they didn't find anything. And then all of a sudden now they're going to try to tell us that, hey, we got some evidence that Trump could have been a pedo. No, it's just crap. So I'm going to do you a favor. I know they voted on it, so they're going to release it. But why waste our time? Here are your flight logs. House Oversight release. I'm going to leave the links down below in the description. And I know some of you don't know what that means. If you're watching this video, go right underneath the video that you're watching. Click here. See this? I'll leave a link, just like all these links here. I'll leave a link underneath the video to all this information that I'm sharing. Now, some of these have so many pages. When you double click the link, just give it like 15, 30 seconds because it takes a minute to download. It'll sit there. It doesn't look like it's doing anything. You'll see a red line go across, meaning that it's downloading. So you guys can see this information. Here's all your flight logs. You can go on here and see all the names that they're talking about. Understand that there's 318 pages, 16 pages of emails. Sender, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon's in here. All the normal people. Bill Gates' name's in here. The Clintons' names. Trump's name's in there. But Trump's names are only in here when they mention them. Like through the emails. One thing is perfectly clear is that Epstein and his friends did not like Trump at all. As a matter of fact, Epstein believed that Trump snitched on him, and that's who got him in trouble the first time. But you can go through and read for yourself. Here's court documents. Now, some of this is redundant as you go through here, just so you understand. A lot of this stuff will repeat itself. So just come over here and scroll on down for about 40 pages and then start reading. These are emails going back and forth from when Epstein first passed away, and people were asking questions about it. There's a lot of conflicting information. As a matter of fact, one of the doctors that was there to witness the autopsy did not agree with the original autopsy, said that he not killed himself. And you can see all that stuff is in here. You can see all the emails, all the articles written about this. You can see the testimonies in here, even from Virginia, testifying that Trump had never touched nobody, nor did Trump flirt with any of the girls, including Virginia. So you'll see for yourself. So stop worrying about what the media is telling you. Stop worrying about where either the Republicans or the Democrats are telling you. You don't have to deal with all that. You can just come through here and read. This is 3,000 pages long, man. This thing here, this is long. But at least you go through and read it. 223 pages long. So this is your chance. You can just download these, save them to your own computer, and read all these files, and you'll know the truth. Now, the victims' names are redacted, of course, as they should, but that's about it. You're going to see Bill Gates' names in here. The Clintons are in here, of course. There are more Democrats than there are Republicans. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen even one Republican in here, but I have not read through all the things. I'm continuing to read this stuff as we go along. What we see on the news about there are more things in here about the Democrats than there are the Republicans, or Trump for that matter, is absolutely right. So you can draw a conclusion on your own. See, they had this information for the longest time, but they decided to piecemeal through it and try to make Trump look guilty. So you guys can decide on your own. Make up your own mind. As you go through here and you get the information, you tell me, does Trump look guilty or does he look innocent? And you can see all the people that are involved and stop waiting for them guys to release the files. Here are the files here. Anyways, I look forward to hearing from you. I'm out.